Hey, this is Nick Richardson. I'm here with I Hate Vonnie, and we're going to talk about wrestling photography.
Hello, indie darlings out there. You are here with another episode of a podcast that don't really got a name yet. Still trying to figure that out, but your gracious host remains the same. It's Vonnie here. I am here on this brigade to make sure that people in the indie space get spotlighted, get showcased. I learn more, and I just get to see and experience all the beautiful things there are about wrestling in general, indie or not. And I'm thoroughly excited because one of the first people I even ran into on this indie scene as I started is the person I'm interviewing right now. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
You got Nick Richardson, photographer.
There's so much more that you do. That's not you are a star maker, and nobody ever talks about that enough. The amount of shots I see that you make for these indie wrestlers, and they look like absolute larger than life beings, like they need to be signed, and it's because of you. We're gonna get into all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad I make a difference. I mean, that's really what I want to do is, help people out as best I can. And I can't wrestle. I'm not athletic, but I can take pictures. So do what I can.
You and me are the same, bro. Neither of us is doing a Canadian Destroyer, but we will bring content to your front step. The very first thing I always like to ask in this is, how's your spirit? How are you feeling today?
If you'd asked me last weekend, I'd be a lot happier. Tuesday was not a good day. I don't want to get into that on that.
Yeah.
But, I got a lot of friends who, people of color, just not happy about this. And, I come from privilege. I'm a cisgender, white male, middle-aged, English accents. I can get away with murder. It's not going to impact me. It's going to impact my friends. And it's going to be really hard on them. So I got to be an ally for them. Can't be silent. We did this in 2016 with the marches. We got to do something again. You can't be silent. I'm grateful for New York City. That's a big plus. There's other states I'd be much more nervous in, with my friends. But, it sucks. I've seen a lot of blame against Latino men, which I find objectionable. How white men voted, 25% Harris, 75% Trump. I think most of the blame lies there. Then I don't really blame people, but it's not great. It's not great, but you fight the good fight. You do what you can. You support people who need supporting, and you make the world a better place.
Listen, it's troubling times, and I love how everybody keeps saying that we are all we got in this space, and people like you, like standing up for us and marching alongside us, fighting that good fight with us, that goes a long way, and that's very important. So the fact that you even took the time to even speak on that at the top of all of this, I don't want that to go in vain, and I thank you for saying all of that right now.
I mean, it's the most important thing. I mean, what we do with wrestling is fun, it's pleasant, it's a diversion, and there's people's lives are going to be impacted. People are going to die because of what's going to happen in this country. Pregnant women.
Yeah, it's a shaky situation no matter how you slice that. On a bit of a lighter note, when everything happened, I dug into my closet and I was looking for clothes just randomly. It was Wednesday, I was going to work, and I found my old Uso shirt that I had. And it was the one that said, "We the ones standing up." And I was like, yeah, man, I haven't worn this in a while. Let me wear this shit. I looked at it. I realized it was black and red with the "We the Ones" shirt up immediately after the events that happened Tuesday. I'm like, let me save this for another day. But
it's a shitty time. It really is. And, I don't know what went wrong. I was actually, as I was lined up for the AEW show in Philadelphia, the BBC had a reporter walking up and down the line interviewing people, and he picked me because I don't know why, but he picked me in the line. And he says, who are you voting for? Are you confident? I'm like, yeah, I'm super confident. Polls look pretty good. I mean, it turns out I've been living in a bubble chamber for a while, and I just hear from people who have similar opinions than me. I spend too much time on Reddit where everyone's like, it's gonna be great, Texas is gonna flip.
Yeah.
I gotta stop doing that. I gotta read the Wall Street Journal more often and get the what's going on.
Yo, they was like, yo, swing states, and all of a sudden this, I don't know if you all know Curb, but it's immediately. I was like, God damn, here we are, another 4 years of this. Can we talk about the first time that I've heard of and started interacting with you in the first place?
Sure.
So it was May of 2024. This wasn't my first indie show. I'd been to maybe like one-ish or two-ish before prior to that, but this was my first time going to a World on Lucha show. And I didn't know you were there, had no idea any of that. I just bought the tickets and I was like, hey, I'm really starting to take off this wrestling content stuff. And I want to meet indie wrestlers. So cool, let me go do that and mingle and do what I got to do. And then like out of nowhere, I started like searching people's pages and stuff for like, post-match photos and stuff. And I kept seeing your photos popping up here and there. Like you took phenomenal photos of Dulce, you took phenomenal photos of Gringo. Like it was the card was stacked and I just kept seeing like shots that you made. And then I saw myself in the crowd. I was like, no. How did this person make me look moderately decently attractive?
I'll say the venue, I think it was White Eagle Hall in Jersey City. It's actually my favorite venue to shoot. They've got great lighting that falls down on the ring. The perimeters in mostly darkness, particularly as you get further away from the ring, but the edge of the ring's fairly well lit. So when they jump out the ring, you still have some good light there. I like to shoot from above the ring if I can. One of the things when I photograph, and in preparing for this, I've been thinking about, what do I photograph? And I'm going to say, maybe a little bit controversial, I don't photograph wrestling, I photograph wrestlers, and that to me is really important. I take a lot of shots of the show. I also throw out 90% of the shots I take. If I don't see someone's face, on face picture, it's really rare I'm going to keep it. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 photos this year that didn't have someone's face in the picture. Because I take pictures of wrestlers. So that's what I'm interested in is the individual. I see a great suplex, no face, not interested. A lot of people take pictures of wrestling, which they want to get the move because that's what they like. They know the moves. But I take pictures of wrestlers, and Eagle Hall's great. You got great light. I'm on the balcony, so I'm above the top rope. Often, if I'm sitting down, the top rope goes right over the eyes of one of the wrestlers. There's 2 ways to get past that. Either get ringside and push your camera through, and you get everyone's faces, or get above the ropes. So, typically, I was just shooting for fun for that show. Bought a ticket. I know folks there, and they were able to see me where I wanted to be seated. So I said, get me hard cam side, because the wrestlers know to present to hard cam. Get me hard cam and get me on the balcony, because I want to look down and not have to worry about the ropes. And it just makes life so much easier, because I can just see the wrestlers. They present out hard cam, so they're presenting out to me basically. So it's cheating a little bit. They're presenting to the hard cam, but if I'm right next to the hard cam, you can't tell when I take the picture. I love that venue.
That's big brain energy. And what's crazy is like you giving me that blur right now. I didn't really think about all that goes into like photography behind wrestling. And y'all do a really good job, because even when, y'all are like ringside and doing what you do, y'all are rarely noticeable. Like I don't ever really see y'all directly. Y'all do a good job of blending in with it, whether it be the turnbuckle or, blending in with the cameraman, whatever the case may be.
There are some rules. I think the rules is too strict. There's some norms to follow. Wear all black. It drives me nuts when I sit on ringside not wearing all black. Crouch down and stare at people's way, because people have paid for a ticket. And I've been sat at events where the photographer just kind of stands right in front of me the entire show. I'm like, I can't see a damn thing. That's a little frustrating. So I try to get down low as I can, maybe under the bottom rope if I can, just stay out of people's way. You look for sight lines where you aren't blocking people, so being on a turnbuckle is always good, because normally there's not much crowd behind you. Again, if you're up in a balcony and there's no one behind you, and I can just stand up and shoot down. Great. I was at the Hoboken show last night, and the entire side was empty. There's no seating there at all, so I could just patrol up and down, stand up, crouch down, and didn't block anyone's view. So I'm not, denying someone the pleasure of seeing the wrestling.
You know what's crazy? I didn't put this in pre-pro, but you speaking about this made me think about this. What is the most annoying thing that typically gets in your way of a good shot?
That's a really good question. My own inability is probably what I get annoyed with the most. I get distracted by something. I took my eye off the ball and I missed something. There's been a few times when I'm like, man, why was I was checking the camera, make sure the settings hadn't got bumped or anything, and the ring announcer just got popped by a wrestler and I missed it. And it's not I can say to them, could you guys do that again for me? That's not going to happen. So the biggest annoyance is just me losing focus and not
living in the moment,
not being ready. Because with wrestling, anything can happen at any moment, and it's like. If I'm not paying attention and I'm distracted, I'm looking at the pictures, I'm checking the settings. Is the card getting full? I was like, oh crap, something just happened. Fuck it. What are you gonna do? I can't go back and do it again. So I've missed a few great shots. I've been lucky and grabbed a few great shots that other people didn't. Just I was ready for it. So that's probably my biggest annoyance. Bad lighting. Bad lighting kills me. There's not much.
That was the one and I'm glad you brought that up because that's the one I was going to say. I hate when I'm at a show and I'm like just shooting like regular camera shit, like from my phone, and the light is like blaring right on me so I could barely see the wrestler. That shit grinds my gears so much. Oh my god.
The advantage is I can normally move to reposition myself from that. So when I'm if I'm at the Mecca, which I shoot a lot of shows at the Mecca, my wife.
Shout out to Mecca.
The tagline is I make the Mecca look good.
Yes, you do.
It's a horrible to shoot, but often there's a few shows that have lights set up in the corners, and if you shoot into those lights, it's horrible. So you want to try and get square on. I normally try and get on the stage if I can. It gives me a little bit of elevation. I'm not shooting straight into the lights, but if I'm forced to shoot into the lights, I try and wait until a wrestler puts their head. They block the light. I get a nice silhouette then. I get the shots. It exposes well. I got nice rim light around it. A little bit tricky. You don't always get what you want, but shooting into the lights is just brutal. And that's probably harder than shooting into a situation where it's low lights. Last night, it was a handful of incandescent bulbs. I'm like, this is not a lot of light. I wasn't expecting that. The Mecca can sometimes be really dark if it's just the lights above the stage without any of the additional lighting. It's
lighting, yeah.
And some photographers get around that by using flashes. It's not a style I use. It's hard. I mean, flash photography is very, very challenging, and so I'm not super confident with that. And the distance I'm the flash make a big difference. So bad light is hard. And I appreciate good light. When I see a GCW show, normally Matt does the editing. It's just a phenomenal job. And it's like, oh, my life is so much easier. All the lights on the ring. I only run into problems when they're out of the ring and there may not be as much light, among the fans. The lights might be a little bit horrible, but you do the best you can.
So my thing is like, to that point, right? What's your typical setup like? So to avoid the lighting issues, to be able to shoot the best you can, like what's your typical usage when you're going into a show?
Yeah, so pretty much normally I'm going to have one camera body with me, maybe two. Depend if I know the venue and I know what to expect, I typically might bring two bodies with me. I did a wrestler lab show where I had two bodies and two different lenses for different shots I wanted to get. But most commonly, I'll have a single body. I'll pick normally I'm going to pick a fast zoom lens that matches the space I'm at. So the 24-70 is a good inside. It's not great, but it's good. It's the standard, industry standard. If I'm further back, I got the 70-200 f2.8, and I'll put those on. I've got some other lenses. If the light's really terrible, if it's really, really, really low light, I'll put on a really fast prime lens, like the 35mm f1.4. So it's really wide open. It catches a lot of light, real shallow depth of field. Get some interesting shots from that. And so I'll typically have that. I'm not going to change lenses during the show. Too much downtime. So I like to get to the show a little bit early if I can. and take some practice shots with wrestlers as they're setting up and prepping. And lets me scout out the locations where I want to be. Typically, I'm going to be fairly stationary in most shows, unless I'm ringside, then I'm running around like an idiot. But I kind of pick a spot I want to get. It's going to look good. Make certain the exposure looks good within the parameters that I want to work with. Normally, I'm shooting like 1,000th of a second, f2.8 or f1.8, 1.4, that sort of thing, and let the ISO float anything up to 2,800, and worry about that in post. A little bit noisy, but yeah, I want to freeze the motion. I don't want that motion blur if I'm shooting at 200th a second, 250th a second. I want to stay at 1,000th of a second, and just I'll take the noise rather than the motion blur, because I can fix noise. I can't fix motion blur easily. And that's the setup. And so I have like one camera on the strap, and it's in my hand the entire time.
I was gonna say that you do a really good job, blur wise. I never really see you have that type of issue with a lot of shots, at least that see the light of day. And also, I'll also say that the shots you take, you do a really quick turnaround time of getting them prepared and ready for if it's a commission or if it's something where you just need to get it from a show that just happened. Your turnaround time is fucking elite.
There are some guys who are faster than me, but I'm pretty darn fast. And that's just, I did some sports photography in the past, and
nice.
Sports photography, basketball, they need those images online within 12 hours at the latest, if not faster, because they've got another game in 3 days. I can't say to them, hey, I got your basketball images. I'm a week after the show. It's like, that's three games back. We don't want that.
Yeah.
So I learned to be fast doing that. And, the wrestlers who wrestled last night want to be able to show their images off today.
Yep.
So there's an that, and that's something that I can tell a promoter, I can guarantee 24-hour turnaround. Realistically, I'm shooting a show tonight in Brooklyn, gonna get about 10, 11 o'clock. All the pictures will be online by 11 a.m. tomorrow. So 12 hours turnaround. And a lot of that is just through automated processes. I develop some styles I like to use, and it's just automate that on the computer, push a button, and I go to bed. I get up in the morning and do the final touch up. But a lot of the stuff that takes 3 or 4 hours, I'm like, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna do a quick call, see which pictures I hate, which ones I think are okay, then set up the automatic processing I've developed, and then wake up in the morning 7 o'clock and I've got 500 pictures. Let's get that down to about 250, 300. Let's crop it so it looks good, make sure the framing's nice and it's telling a good story. And then get it online, start posting it, let the wrestlers share it with their friends, and keep that excitement going after the show. So I think that's really important. One of the things I strive for is to be fast. There are 4 F's I have for wrestling photography. I want faces, I want focus, I want framing, and I want to do it fast. And I think those things, for me, they're the most important. The pictures have to really be in focus. The eyes have to be in focus. I want the faces, I want the eyes, I want the expression. I want to see what that human being is doing and what they're feeling or what they're projecting to the audience. That's really important to me. So again, I take pictures of wrestlers, not wrestling. So faces, focus, and then the framing up. I've had some good mentors in the past, and there's photojournalists will tell you when they used to shoot for newspapers, because they shot for newspapers, you fill the frame with the subject.
Yeah,
you don't need a little tiny wrestler and a whole big
bunch of space.
I mean, sometimes you want that if you want to show the audience. There's a reason for it. But if it's just a regular shot, I want to get in nice and tight, really fill it with the wrestler, because that's the subject. I want to see the face, and it's got to be in focus. And that's probably one of the biggest struggles when I first started out was not focus. The autofocus system would grab onto the ropes and focus on the ropes, and it's like so many shots I lost because focus on the ropes. That's why I try to bar or through the ropes, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But fast, focus, framing, and faces. They're the 4 F's of photography for me. That's the style I go for, and that's what I can tell promoters I'm going to provide them.
I'm letting you know now. The name of this episode is Faces, Focus, Framing, Fast. I love that. That's fire. I can't even hold you. My thing is like, and you mentioned like, newspaper photography, you mentioned NBA wise, like, can you tell me the difference between working for somebody that's like, say, an indie promotion versus somebody that's a bit more major? Because I've seen you doing both, and I've really seen you out there.
I've shot everywhere from, AEW. I've done those a couple of times with Media Credential, all the way down to, very, very small shows at the Mecca with maybe 15 people in attendance. And they all have their benefits, and they're all fun to me. I can give a crass difference. I mean, the difference is how you get paid. Indie shows, you typically get paid by the promotion to shoot the show. When you shoot big shows like AEW, like, we're not going to pay you. It's a privilege to come shoot at our shows. It's like, okay. And by the way, you can't sell the pictures. I was like, what?
What do you mean?
So it's in the agreement. When you get your media credentials at AEW, it's like no ringside access, no backstage access. Please shoot from the seat we give you for editorial purposes only, no individual sales. And so that's, there's a website I work with, BCP Plus, Rob Williams, which is, does podcasts and journalism and editorials and reviews and photography and video. And so they host my stuff for me. And, by working with them, I'm able to get access. And then I provide them the photographs and they can make editorial material based on that. So that's how it works. Whereas independent shows, typically the promoter is looking for a photographer, so they're going to pay them. It's like, here's what they're going to give you a shot list. Here are the shots we want. And that'll be different from if I was just shooting for myself, where I'm less interested in shooting the crowd, showing the crowd having a good time. I'm focusing on wrestlers. The big difference is, the quality of the wrestling is different. When you get to the really high levels of AEW, the wrestlers are smooth, they're fast, they go from one move to the next, there's no pausing. You don't see people counting their steps as they're doing something. The independents, though, they have their own charm. There's a little bit of a kids putting on a show type feel to it. They may know they're not going to become big time, but they enjoy it. It's a passion project for them, and that energy comes forward. And I find that the smaller independent levels, even to like mid-independent levels, a great diversity in wrestlers. Every wrestler's 6'2", 240 pounds, muscle bound, and that's AEW. There's a lot of similarity, not identical, but they're similar. You get to the independent levels, you go to the Mecca, you see a great deal of diversity in body types, gender, I would say, race, to a certain extent. And so, I find that appealing, and I want to help promote that, which is why I like shooting shows at the Mecca, because that's the contribution I make, is helping promote these young wrestlers and help them get their careers. The production values at an AEW show are just phenomenal. They have the best equipment. Everything's really well done. It's top notch. Yeah, that's nice, but is the show better? It's televised. I don't know if it's better. Is it as engaging? Is the storytelling as good? Probably not. The first time I shot a big show, it was at Arthur Ashe Stadium. I was a long way away, way back. I was a little annoyed by that. Wrestling is very different when you're looking at it from 500 feet away, as opposed to being 10 feet away. The ring doesn't scale. The ring doesn't get bigger. They don't mic the ring so you can hear the bangs, the percussion, as someone gets slammed into it. That whereas you feel that at a small show, you feel the impact. So the wrestling felt more intense at a small show than there's a big show, because I just don't think it scales up as well. It's probably different when you watch it on television, but in person, those big shows, there's a distance. And I guess if you paid a lot of money, you could sit really close, but I'm not going to do that. The small shows, it's intimate. There's intimacy, which I really appreciate, really enjoy.
I do. I love every bit of it. I love every bit of what you just said right now. It's like, I've seen you, I consider you really like a kingmaker in that sense when it comes to those shots. Like, I've seen you make people like a Harleen Lopez or like a Jay Bougie, people like that. You make them look fucking phenomenal with the work that you do.
I'm just capturing what they're doing. I'm not adding or taking away from it. They are phenomenal people. They are phenomenal wrestlers. Harleen Lopez has the greatest sneer in independent wrestling.
Dead ass.
on that. I love photographing her. And this one of the things that we're going to talk about later is my favorite wrestler's photograph. She's one of my favorites. She has a phenomenal sneer, and she will look right at the camera and sneer at me. I was at an event down at Worldwide Show. I shot a few times there, and Holly was wrestling there, and she lost the match. And as she was walking out, she's snarling at the crowd, and I got a little close, getting some really good shots of her. And she reached out and she hit the lens. And after she came to me, like, I'm so sorry, did I break anything? No, it's a cheap plastic lens hood. That's why I have the lens hood on there. Don't worry about it. But it was funny because she really stays in character, and she's just scowling at me, and I'm just getting these great shots of her, and that was really fun. And she's one of my favorites. But yeah, I'm not changing what these wrestlers are doing. They're doing these things. I'm just making certain they look as best as they can. And again, shooting wide open. I narrow the depth of field so they get isolated, so you're not distracted by stuff behind or in front. We're really seeing them. We get to focus on them, on what they're doing.
I'm glad you said that. Like, let's jump into that question then. So, let's play favorites. I don't care. We could do that. Yeah. What is some of your favorite wrestlers to shoot? Like, who do you feel like picture perfect each time you shoot that person? Like, people, no matter how you slice it, they always end up becoming a great shot for you.
Janae Kai.
Shout out, yes.
And I was thinking about why is she so good? So she has the best hair in wrestling, as far as I'm concerned, with it being shaved outside and the top. Because long hair is awesome, because long hair is great for selling a move. You twitch your head fast, the hair flies, and I capture great motion in the shots. But the drawback of that is sometimes the hair falls over the face, and I can't see the face at all. So a lot of female wrestlers, they may have long hair, and their face just gets completely covered. And I'm like, I can't use this shot. There's no person there. So she has this really great mix of both, where she has the long hair that moves, so I get these great shots, but then it also never covers her face, so I can always see what she's doing. One of my absolute favorite shots was at an MLW show, probably around about February of this year. She, I forget what it was. She was in an event where it's like, you survive 5 minutes with Janae Kai in the ring and win $50,000, something like that. This young wrestler comes out, and Janae Kai just gives like one kick, bang, and just drops her unconscious. And I got some great shots there because it was completely opposite where I was stationed, and I just got the kick going right into the chin. And she does amazing moves. She's probably scares me more than any of the rest. I think she could, beat anyone.
Scares the shit out of me. Yeah. Janai scares the shit.
But she's just great, and I just love photographing. Holly Lopez is another one I love photographing. She's got a great sneer. She's got a great presence. I almost always get pictures of her with blood between her teeth. She's just phenomenal. Sunny Kiss is another one I really enjoy photographing. She's done I got some great shots for her. I got one most recently at the Mecca where I think she's fighting Rebecca J. Scott, and she lifts Rebecca up, takes one hand away, and it does the fit pose. I was like, I got a great shot of that, and it's like, wow, that's an impressive display of strength. And another one favorite of mine to photograph, Darius Carter. I probably photographed him more than anybody else. He's really good, stays in character, has a great character. I just love how he does the ring entrance. He refuses to get in until someone opens the ropes for him, and he makes the ref do it, and he'll snap his fingers. And he's just such a monster of a human being in character, and nice guy in the world when you meet him. But he always has good shots, and he's some of my early shots with him, trying to break people's fingers. He's got them grab his fingers and it's snap. And I was like, oh man, you guys, this is awesome. So those are some of my favorites to photograph. But love is also very situational. If I just get in the right place at the right time, a wrestler does something great, if I can capture that, that's awesome. But Janae Kai is terrifying and fantastic to photograph.
See, like, first of all, I know you know ball because like the way you spoke about the hair and how that makes the cell look that much better. Everything you just said right now, like things that you don't really think about in pro wrestling, especially as a person who's just watching it as a casual, but like a lot of that really makes or breaks not only the shot, but actually the video. It makes or breaks the match. All of that is so important and integral.
Yeah, I mean, I can add to that as well. The referees play a large part in this. If a
Yep.
referee just stands there stoic, I was like, well, you know,
Like, bro,
if the referee is going, oh my God. And, you know, the GCW refs are just fantastic. That, you know, Perch,
yep.
Scarlett, Adam, they're great at these face expressions, and they sell the move more. And then if you can get the audience gasping, they sell the move more. I think worse when you get a great shot of something incredibly violent happening, and the guy in the background's just on his phone doing this. It's like, you're ruining my shot, dude. You should be watching this.
Focus.
But it's, you know, so some of my favorite shots where, you know, the audience members are just losing their minds over what they're seeing, and the ref selling it, and then you got the move there. It's just great. I love it when we get that. The referees are so important, and I always try to, whenever I shoot a show, I always try and shoot the referees, and, you know, let them see their pictures as well, because they are an integral part of the storytelling and the selling of it, as well as, and they've got to keep it safe. And, you know, they have a very difficult job. I think it's underappreciated, but I appreciate what they do. And I know so many good referees, you know, and I love photographing them as well, because they're part of the show. Anyone who's in the ring is part of the show. I don't care if you're a wrestler or not. You're in the ring, you are part of the show. I will photograph you. I will make certain you look great.
Let me walk this back really quickly. I want to talk more about you as a man. Saw on your post that you are also a gamer. So I want to learn more about what you're doing away from the camera. So like when you're home, you minding your business, doing what you got to do. What games are you playing?
So when I say I'm a gamer, it means I've been playing video games longer than you've probably been alive. I started playing video games in 1976.
Okay, yeah. Damn, really?
Night Driver 2 was in an arcade in England. Bad game. It's super crude. It's a stand-up arcade cabinet with a steering wheel. There's a sticker on the screen of the hood of a car, and there are bars that go off into the distance, getting smaller. And as you turn the steering wheel, the bars would move. The aim of the game was to stay on the road as long as possible. And I remember distinctly playing that video game in 1976, and, you know, my brain rewired itself. I'm like, I like video games. These are awesome. And, you know, I've owned almost every video game system. I was trying to think, you know, what video game system not owned. Super Nintendo, the Milton Bradley Vectrex, and some of the recent Xboxes. They're the only ones I haven't owned. I've owned everything else, even some of the really obscure, like the Nintendo VR headset.
The Virtual Boy?
Yeah, I had one of those.
Holy shit.
Years ago. I had a Panasonic 3DO.
You had a 3D OG?
Yeah. So I've had a whole ton. I mean, I've owned almost everything. And so video games have been really important to me. You know, I remember when the arcades were where that's, you know, you're talking mid 80s to early 90s, when, you know, the video arcades, the hardware that was so much more powerful than the home systems. So you're talking NBA Jam, which I consider to be the best video game of all time. You know, the arcade version was phenomenal. You know, the Genesis version was okay, but it wasn't the arcade version. And so, you know, that's, for me, was one of the, that was, you know, really important. You know, what do I play now? Just, you know, recently finished Cyberpunk. I was a little late getting on that. But wait till it all got sorted out, and it's now good. And, you know, the home systems are so amazing now. You can do anything. You know, PlayStation 5 is, you know, my go-to just to relax. You know, finished Grand Theft Auto 5 a few months ago. We've been playing that for 12 years. I had it on the PS3, the PS4, and the PS5. I always got so far and then left it. So I'm like, I'm going to finish it.
You just finished it?
All right. Yeah.
That's crazy. I finished that shit on all 3 different systems.
You play it and then something else comes along and life gets busy and I just can't devote the time to it. And that's, for me, is a really fun game. So I enjoy that. So, video games have, been my entire life since I was like 6 years old. I'm 54 now. So, it's 48 years as a gamer. I've played almost everything. So obscure stuff like On Trends Universe on the old Atari home computer. Atari.
You played some shitty games in your day. Like some of these, the Virtual Boy and stuff. Jesus.
Oh, they're horrible. They're bad games. Compared to what we've got now, the VR systems are just amazing. The technology is amazing. It's progressed so much since I've been a gamer. I was there when video gaming first got created. And what we can do now is just, what's it going to be like 20 years from now? That's going to blow my mind. So, and the other thing I do is I board games. That's another hobby I have. It's actually commercial. I get paid to do this. I design board games. 3 or 4 board games published.
Really?
Yeah. They tend to be like fairly complicated conflict relation games. So think Risk, but historically accurate. And just because of who I am, I pick fairly obscure things like the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, which is the French in Vietnam, which is the precursor to the Vietnam War. Right. The Battle of Birakim, which is the French Foreign Legion in North Africa in World War II. I was doing games on the invasion of Normandy, which is much more mainstream. But these are fun projects. They're board games, big maps, lots of little cardboard pieces, very complicated rules. I play Advanced Squad Leader, which is one of my passions. 200-page rule book. Oof.
Yo, the amount of patience you have to the amount of patience you have to have for all of that. First, now, like, the dots are clicking for me. You being a photographer, you got to have patience. You dealing with a 200-page rule book on a video board game on Normandy, like,
yep.
Gosh,
you just do what you do. You do what you enjoy, and a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of thinking about things. I enjoy that.
Are you a history buff, or like what do you?
A little bit, yeah. So I do study history a little bit. That's again, the board gaming aspect comes out of studying history, and so you grow up with it. And I remember when the History Channel was the History Channel, and so you grew up in England in the 70s, which World War II is very much an important thing, and people talked about it a lot, and still do to this day, which is always surprising to me. So you grow up with a lot of history around you, and you get immersed in it. And I enjoy reading about it. And then if I can read something and say, I can mix a game and make this into money, that's always nice. So, but I tend to pick obscure, non-commercial projects, which the publisher's always annoyed by, but I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, like listen, I'm not here to be a cash cow in that instance. I want to enjoy the art that I make in that sense. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, so I try to pick obscure topics that people don't know much about, so they actually learn something about it. And, the Battle of Birakim is not something most people in the West know about, but it's like for the French, it's one of the most famous battles they had in World War II. And I think the metro stop by the Louvre is called Birakim, which is this tiny little outpost in North Africa and in Libya, which the French, it was the first time the French had a military victory in World War II. It's like 1941, 1942. And at that point, lost every time they'd fought. And this is, they're a linchpin in the British line to defend against Rommel, who's pushing towards Egypt. And, this is a great sense of national pride. It's kind of like, if I say, have you heard about the Alamo? You're like, yeah, I don't know the Alamo. It's ingrained in your culture. This is very similar for the French, but most people in the US don't know about it. So, I designed a game on that, and people learn a little bit about it. They see who was there. The French Foreign Legion was hanging out, doing their thing, fighting the Italians, then fighting the Germans. So it's fun. And I get to teach people things, which is always nice.
Do you feel like as a person, the majority of the things you do, the actions you take, you move with intent and purpose?
Yeah, I think so. I spend a lot of time thinking about why I do things and what. Again, we were talking about the wrestling talk, but it's like, I got faces, frame, folk, best. I didn't start with that and then this is what I'm going to do. It's like I was doing what I was doing, and I'm thinking about, okay, what am I doing that's different from other people? I look at some photographers' photos and like, I don't like that. And that's why I start thinking, okay, what is it that I'm doing? So there's a lot of reflection on what I do and realizing here's what I do that's different from other people. I think this is important. And then I try to put that into words, and if you make it a snappy catchphrase, absolutely fantastic. no, fuck it, you try. So I think there's a certain amount of reflection in what I do. It's like everything I do has to have a purpose. And we can get into existential philosophy here. Jean-Paul Sartre talking about what is it? Everyone has projects, and if you're going to be authentic, you work towards those projects.
Yep.
So I have projects I work towards, and photography is one of them. Game design is another one, and I intentionally work toward those, and I intentionally try to get better at what I do. And that involves I spend time studying before I go. Afterwards, I look at what I did. I reflect on it. Okay, what worked? What didn't work? Okay, last night I had the 50mm lens. I should have had the 35mm lens. The photos would be so much better. But everyone seems happy with it. Something okay. But that reflection is like, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? So there's that constant improvement. I think that's really important. I want to be the best I can be at things, and I'm not going to be that, but it's worth trying. I'm not going to be the best wrestling photographer who's ever been, but I can try, and I can keep getting better, and keep getting better, and I keep getting better, and I can keep looking at other people's work. James Musselwhite, who's has a YouTube channel and is a wrestling photographer in England. Has some great videos explaining his process, how he does things. And whenever I start feeling good about my photography, I'm like, I'm pretty good at it. I go look at his work. I'm like, I'm not good.
Fuck.
I look at the work from Scott Lash or Danny Roman, Red Shoes Media, Matt Flood. These guys are amazing. It's like, I look at what they do and I study it. It's like, why are they better than me? What are they doing that I'm not doing? Can I do this? Can I work towards that? So I want to be the best. I'm not going to be the best, but it doesn't stop me from trying to be the best and trying to get better every time. And if I look back at my work from 2 years ago, year ago, 6 months ago, I'm getting better. I'm getting closer to what I want to be ideal. And I think that's important. I think that's what people should do. You should try and do the best you can and keep working towards that, and not just get still and say, good enough. Because good enough isn't good enough. You want to get better. You want to get better. Because what I'm doing is, as you said earlier on this, I'm helping young wrestlers get themselves out there by giving them great photographs of themselves. If I start doing average, crappy photos, what service am I providing? I mean, paid. I've still got people liking my pictures, but I'm not helping the community.
You're not moving
what's this? It's just not me, and I don't want to do that. I enjoy helping young wrestlers, and if I can do something that makes them successful, that's fantastic. I mean, my dream would be if some wrestler I photograph right from the start makes it to the big time, and my photos help that. That's awesome. That'd be the dream. Will it happen? Maybe. I know lots of young wrestlers. So that's the goal. It's a service. It really is. I want to elevate everyone. I want everyone to look good. So getting a little bit off topic. I apologize.
No. The reason why I posed that question was because ultimately, like, as I'm listening to you more and more and speaking all of this, I feel like I'm getting a bit of like a better understanding of you and your character and where you stand. I won't act like I know you through and through, obviously, because this is really, but like, that's why I asked the aspect of you moving with intent and moving with purpose, because it feels like everything you do and everything you said, like there's a common greater goal to where you're looking for. It's not like you're looking, no pun intended, base level. Like there's always like something out deep in the ethos where it's like, all right, well, I'm striving for this, or at least I'm striving to shoot for somewhere in this frame or this area, and then I can look back and finally say, damn, I did a really good job at that.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the goal. I mean, I think about what I do, and everything is done. Nothing's done accidentally. Everything's done for a reason, and that's everything in my life is done for a reason, be it for good or bad. But there's a reason why I do things, and there's a reason why I photograph independent wrestlers. And it's part of it is an artistic endeavor, part of it is self-gratification. I get to get my name out there, and make a lot of money, but the big part of it is I get to promote independent wrestlers who don't have anybody in their corner supporting them. They're hustling. I mean, I see these guys making it's the hot dog and handshake model, which, you know, when I first started, I'm like, how does the economics of this work? I walk into a room, there's 20 people. I'm okay, there's 20 people. You paid $20 a ticket. That's $400 in ticket sales. You got the ring rental. You got the room rental. I'm like, I don't understand how the economics of this work. And it turns out people don't get paid much. And it's very small amounts of money, if anything. So it's like, okay, these guys are struggling. They're hustling. They're putting in the time. They're putting in the training. How can I help them get to the next level while helping myself at the same time? And that's why I really like shooting these smaller independent shows. I mean, shooting a GCW show is fantastic. It's a great show. It's easy because it's well lit. But, you know, shooting the Mecca, it's a challenge. But I'm up to that challenge. And if I'm helping a young wrestler make the next level, you know, they can sell my picture as an 8x10. Fantastic. They can make, you know, 20, 40, 60 bucks. That's going to help them in their career. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Bro, like and so this actually leads to the point that the ultimate grand scheme thing that I wanted to bring up. I want to be able to do this one segment right here, which I do with everybody I interview, and it's called Giving You Your Flowers. So I want to take the time really quickly to talk to you specifically and tell you how great you are about yourself and the things that you do. Because again, you didn't know me from a can of paint. You took that photo. I randomly saw you and I randomly messaged you. You were kind, gracious, and awesome. We've been following each other. Just you repost my stuff, and I never even asked you to, and you did it. Like that made shit like that means the world to me, and that made me want to look more into and research your shit and like throw money your way too. So it's like when we run into a situation like at the most recent Mecca show at BCW, you're shooting there, and I'm like, hey, like I do need some photos for commission purposes, and it's like, let me get some photos done. Who do I want to go to? You first. So I go to you, and you made me look like $1,000,001. And I don't talk about this aspect a lot just in general on Front Street, but like when you talk about things like body dysmorphia, you talk about things about like how you just look in general. Like there are a lot of times I'll take photos and I look at myself and I'm like, you look like a piece of shit. Like you look, but I looked at those photos and like, that was one of the first few times recently where I felt like actually powerful about something. Like I didn't look like I felt like a doofus with a mask. They were amazing. No, you are a fucking phenomenal artist in that sense.
I mean, it's also, you know, picking the right lens as well, because if you're shooting with your camera phone, that lens is so wide, it distorts. But I mean, my wife hates it when I take a picture of her on the iPhone because it doesn't look like her. It distorts it, and it's like she's like, I don't look like this. I'm like, no, you don't. Let me get a real camera, get a real lens, get it to 85 millimeter. And that's when you get the more flattering, it slims the face down. It looks more natural. And so this is lens. But yeah, you know, everyone's shooting everything on an iPhone nowadays, and they don't do good pictures of people. They really don't. No. They're great for landscapes, but that's all they're really good for. It's a little frustrating. And I worry about how this is feeding into people's self-body image, because all they see is pictures on cell phones with 23, 24 millimeter lenses, which is not great for portraits. That's terrible for portraits. You get fired from a real job if you did that.
And that's the thing. It's like, these are the things I don't ever really think about. It's just like, oh, I have a phone. Okay, cool. Let me just snap photo. It's done. Oh, I look like this. Shit. Let me go back to this gym or do this. And now, like, I'm sitting here fighting these demons and having to deal with what I deal with when you come and you take this photo. And it's like, okay, well, I'm still going to the gym, but now I get to go to the gym feeling empowered because I'm going towards something. Because I feel like, all right, it's actually working. And you helped usher that shit in.
Thank you, man.
You help do that for so many people, so many indie wrestlers. Like I see, again, we mentioned the Harleen Lopez of the world. Like she reposts your shit all the time. Janai Kai, I've seen repost your shit. I see so many other indies in this space repost your stuff, the promotions, the BCWs. I see all of them pretty much doing what they do to push you to the forefront. And it's like, you being I want to be one of indie wrestlers' greatest resources in the sense of I want to help push content to promote them. You are one of the bars for what that resource should be. So I'm looking at somebody like you looked at the person in England when you say you look at their shit, you like, nah, I'm not doing good enough. I need to get to the drawing board. I'm looking at you like that. You're that guy.
Thank you.
And
That's. I mean, a lot of people at work tell me I'm very bad at taking compliments, so I'm not going to say anything sarcastic and downplay what you said. But yeah, it's very gratifying to hear that, because it means what I'm working towards, at least for you, I'm achieving it. And if I'm achieving it for you, I'm probably achieving it for others. So that's super gratifying to hear. I really appreciate that, man.
listen, bro, you are forever golden and great in my book. The only other thing I do want to ask is, I got this last piece. It's called Pass the Baton. And I have everybody come up here. I say, spotlight one indie wrestler right now in the game who deserves more love, adoration, more looks. Who is that person that you are inclining to pass the baton to right now?
And I hate this question, because as I've gotten to know wrestlers as people, I don't want to pick someone and leave other people out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to stay away from the promotions I work with that are local. So I'm going to go to GCW level, because there's so many people I could pick, from Pro Wrestling Magic, Warriors of Wrestling, BCW, Project Codename Wrestling now. I shot for them last night. There's so many people who are deserving. If I pick one, I'm leaving out other people. So I'm going to go to GCW level, and I'm going to say Mr. Danger. So Mr. Danger is amazing. I've shot him 4 times now. Every time he's jumping off something more ridiculous than the last time. He's great. So he's somebody who, I think I recently posted on social media, like, here are the 4 shots I took of him doing a Swanton Bomb. And he's really good. So I think, he doesn't get enough publicity, and the GCW guys is one of the, the lower card guys, but I would like to see him come forward more. There's others I can name. He said once, I'm going to stick to one off all the rules. So Mr. Danger is going to be my choice. Someone who should get some love.
Listen, Mr. Danger, I am familiar with that man's work. I seen him do some wild shit. He was the one, I think he did like it was either a shooting star press or like a backflip from the top rope onto the outside of the ring. I think he was facing
his aerial work is just incredible. And at the show GCW had down in Atlantic City, the most recent one. Yeah, he jumped off the U-Haul truck.
He was the one who jumped off the truck?
He's the one who jumped off the truck.
I see that video like every once in a while. GCW and people keep reposting that shit. I didn't know that was him.
That Mr. Danger, top of a U-Haul, and I was there a few hours before the show started, and I saw him. He got up onto the top, because the truck in the background. I was like, why did the truck park there? It's right in camera line. Get out of here. And then I saw him climb up and scout it out, looking at it. I went over to someone, I think it's Chad, who does the ringside. I'm like, is he going to jump off that? He's like, yeah, he's going to jump off that. I'm like, okay. So I know I got to. GCW, they're very kind to me. They give me a step ladder that I can climb up and sit right on top, so I'm looking down. Gives me a really great height advantage. And so it's like, okay, I know when he gets close to that U-Haul, I got to jump off this ladder, run all the way around, and get lined up. So I know where he's going to be jumping to. So I was very, very fortunate. I did a little bit of prep ahead of time. But I had someone's like, is he going to jump off that? And they're like, yeah, he's jumping off the U-Haul.
And then he did.
And he did. It's fucking crazy. And then a whole bunch of guys catch it. So that was good. But it was like, man, this is just, it's insane. But he's so talented. And give him some love. That's what I say. Everyone give Mr. Danger a follow and book in for your shows.
Listen, y'all out there, y'all give Mr. Danger some love. Y'all give Nick love too, because Nick is out here. Again, he said that the wrestlers are themselves making themselves stars, but Nick is the greatest accessory to that piece, I will say. Make sure y'all follow Nick. Nick, where can we find you on all platforms to support you?
Greatest mistake I made in my career was I did have a unified username for all my social media accounts, because they all started off as something else and then have slowly converted over from social media with friends to wrestling social media. So like my Twitter account was just a random name they generated for 2014. I'm like, I'm never going to use Twitter. And then after I started using it, I'm like, oh, this is a really bad name. I should fix this. I just never got it. So Instagram, nrichard999, so NRICHARD 999. Twitter, God, just search for Nick Richardson Photography. Actually, if you go to Google and say Nick Richardson Photography, I think I'm most of the top hits for that. But Twitter is like Nick N Richard or something like that. Again, it's the generic name they gave me because I thought I was never going to use a Twitter account. Here I am using a Twitter account as my main social media for business. But yeah, who's to say? They're the main ones. So Instagram and Twitter, or X, I guess we should say. But I'm going to keep calling it Twitter just to annoy someone.
Hey, their mama named it Twitter, so I'm gonna call it Twitter. So
there you go, man.
That's that. Listen, everybody out there, y'all listening, thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. Y'all stay beautiful. Y'all do what y'all got to do. Tune into the next one. Good night.